Hello, this is 21 Questions. It's a trivia podcast. My name is Mike van Acker, and I'm glad you're here. I've got 21 trivia questions for you. 20 questions and who am I? Let's go. Question 1. In the nursery rhyme and tongue twister, who picked a peck of pickled peppers? That's Peter Piper, and I don't know if you know, but that's out of a book published in 1813 called Peter Piper's Practical Principles of Plain and Perfect Pronunciation. Would have been ironic if I'd stumbled over that, and I very nearly did. Question 2. Robin Hood was known to inhabit which Nottingham forest? That would be Sherwood Forest. Question 3. Did the Wiggles do their first gig as the Wiggles in the 1980s, 1990s, or 2000s? The Wiggles did their very first gig in 1991. Before that, some of them made up a band called the Cockroaches, for my overseas listeners, because everyone knows that in Australia. But for the overseas listeners, have a look on YouTube for the Cockroaches, Australian band. That's some of the Wiggles. Question 4 is always a true or false on this podcast. True or false? The actor Hugh Grant has Mungo, M-U-N-G-O, as one of his middle names. Is that true? Is that false? It's too silly not to be true, am I right? It's true. His full name is Hugh John Mungo Grant. Question 5. What, starting with C, has the Indian city of Madras been known as since 1996? That's Chennai. Question 6. F. Scott Fitzgerald wrote which classic novel that was the basis for a 2013 movie that features Leonardo DiCaprio in the title role? That'd be The Great Gatsby. We talked about Sigourney Weaver calling herself Sigourney as a result of a character in that novel. Her real name is Susan, if you remember. Question 7. Was Peter Parker's uncle, he dies early in the original Spider-Man story, named Ben, Bill, or Bob? Peter Parker's Uncle Ben. And in some tellings of the story, Peter Parker could have intervened and stopped the bad guy that killed his Uncle Ben, but he did not. Okay, first clues now for the Who Am I for the app. Again, not one of the more straightforward Who Am I's we've ever done, but I'm just trying to mix it up a little bit. Who am I? I'm considered one of the great English comic actors and filmmakers. I wrote, directed, produced, edited, and composed the music for most of my films. I died on Christmas Day of 1977. My body was stolen from my grave and was held for ransom by 2 men for 11 weeks. My wife refused to pay the ransom because she said I would have found the demand ridiculous. Now that's a little bit unusual by our standards, but I thought it was fun, and I'm pretty sure you know who it is by the final clues, if not before. Question 8. What name is commonly given to any form of pollen allergy? That's hay fever. Question 9. Which TV sitcom had the character Bud Bundy? Married with Children. That's Al and Peggy Bundy and their son Bud. There was a sister too. His name escapes me right now because it's not part of the question, so I didn't research it. Ha ha! Question 10. What's the last name of the Argentinian Lionel who was named FIFA World Player of the Year each year between 2009 and 2012? That's Lionel Messi. I'm doing a little bit more football content at the moment because of the World Cup. Question 11 is a true or false. True or false? Benjamin Franklin was an early president of the United States of America. Is that true? Is that false? Now, to some people, that's a really easy question. The answer is false, by the way. Benjamin Franklin was not a president of the United States, early, middle, or late. Just wasn't at all. He was president of Pennsylvania. He was the US minister to France and later Sweden. But no, not a president of America. Now, for a lot of Australian audiences, that would be difficult because we don't know much about American politics over here. Although I'd venture to say some of us know more about the recent American politics than we ever did before. Anyway, we shall move on. Question 12. Are these the words of former Australian Prime Minister Kevin Rudd or former British Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher? Education is both a tool of social justice as well as a fundamental driver of economic development. Very wordy, and honestly, it could be either Thatcher or Rudd. In this case, though, it is Kevin Rudd. He's a barrel of laughs, that man. I've interviewed him on radio a couple of times. Question 13. Who played Eliza Doolittle in the 1964 film My Fair Lady? Was it Audrey Hepburn or Katharine Hepburn? That's Audrey Hepburn, no relation to Katharine Hepburn, by the way. Now, she sings in that movie, or does she? She appears to sing in that movie, but her voice is actually dubbed by a lady called Marnie Nixon, who did a lot of the singing for a lot of the Hollywood stars of the day. She does all the singing for the female parts in The King and I and West Side Story as well. Question 14. How many arrows are on the international recycling symbol? That's 3, and that's quite an obscure question. More clues now for the Who Am I? It's the British actor, did all his own writing, editing, composing, etc. Died Christmas Day 1977, I think it was. Who am I? My career had controversial moments. In the 1940s, having immigrated to America, I was accused of being a communist sympathiser, and when the FBI opened an investigation into me, I moved to Switzerland. I'm best known for one character that I played in several films, many of them, most of them, dare I say all of them, silent films. Do you know who that is yet? Here's my imitation of him in some of his movies. Do you see what I did there? Because silent movies, so I didn't do anything. Okay, all right, well, I had a go, whatever. Question 15. Which English/Irish boy band was formed on the TV talent show The X Factor and turned over $50 million US in 2012 alone? The world went nuts for these boys. They were One Direction. I can't believe I'm doing trivia about One Direction, and yet here we are. Question 16. Which I word can mean accusation, allegation, charge, impeachment, prosecution, or even summons? That's an indictment. Indictment, there's actually a C in there that most people don't pronounce. I-N-D-I-C-T-M-E-N-T. Indictment. Good eye. Question 17. Name either of the only 2 letters in the English alphabet that a chemical element does not begin with. Here's a hint. You'll have to go a little way into the alphabet for the first one and quite a way towards the end for the second one. The only 2 letters in the English alphabet that a chemical element does not begin with are J and Q. Question 18, we're talking European geography. Which S is a country that sits between Norway and Finland? Is it Switzerland or is it Sweden? That's Sweden. Sweden sits between Norway and Finland. Question 19 is always a still alive or not so much. I give you a name, you tell me if you think that person is still alive or not so much. Today, the Reverend Wilbert Awdry, who was the creator of Thomas the Tank Engine. Is the Reverend Wilbert Awdry still alive or not so much? Reverend Awdry, not so much, passed away in 1997, and at that time, the series was taken over by his son Christopher. Christopher's now 85 and is no longer writing Thomas the Tank Engine either. Question 20 is a music question, but with a little bit of a twist today. Question 20. Which TV show depicts the trials of a school choir based at William McKinley High School? That's Glee. Now, Glee was huge for a little while in Australia, and then it just kind of went away as far as I know. Anyway, I didn't chase it. I didn't try very hard to keep up with it. Final clues now for the Who Am I. Right at the end of the last set of clues, I mentioned silent films, and I shouldn't have because it's actually the first clue in this batch, but here it comes. I'm best known for a series of silent films in which I played a character known as the Tramp. I was involved in scandal later in my life for my relationships with much younger women. Both my first and last names begin with the letters CH. Now, did I make it too easy then with the CH thing, the ch? Did we get Charlie Chaplin? Delightful. Okay, good. Time now for the player questions, where you, the listener, can send me a trivia question if you would like to, and I will ask it in this section of the show. Shout out to Caleb, who sent a very interesting question through last ep. It was, which Hollywood star rode a horse in Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, voiced a horse in Charlotte's Web, and tamed a horse in The Horse Whisperer? That is, of course, Robert Redford. Nice one, Caleb. That's a very cleverly constructed question. This episode, Joy from Kalanga sent in, which company associated with Prestige American Motorbikes also made golf carts between 1960 and 1969? Alright, Joy, that's a little bit obscure, but I love it. Prestige American Motorbikes, well, one company springs to mind, but I'll Google that and find out. Thank you very much. If you'd like to send me a trivia question, I'd love you to do that. 2 ways to get it to me. 21 questions by Trivia Tribe is the Facebook page, or send me an email if you like, mike@triviatribe.com.au. Most people seem to be sending me emails lately. I don't know why. Either way, I'll respond to your message if you send me one, and I'll add your question to the list of player questions to be asked. Fantastic. Oh, also, I would love it if you could rate this show on the podcast app that you're listening to now. That's an easy way you can support the show. That would be a very cool thing for you to do, and I would be ever so grateful. How grateful? Ever so. That's quite a lot of grateful, let me tell you. All right, that is 21 questions for another episode. I had fun bringing it to you. I'd love to know what scores you people are getting to these sets of questions. I have no idea if they're too easy, too hard, or the Goldilocks. By that I mean just right. Anyway, this podcast comes out every Tuesday, Thursday and Saturday. Meet me back here in a couple of days. We'll have another crack at it. My name's Mike van Acker. I love you. Catch you next time.